Redefine Yourself First. Welcome back to the Confident Autistic YouTube channel. If you're new here, I'm Chris Mitchell, a late diagnosed autistic adult, a certified confidence life coach, and I'm all about helping you live confidently autistic. In this video, we're diving into a very big topic, and that topic is sharing your autism diagnosis or your self-identification as being autistic with family and friends. When this occurs, it's a moment that can bring all kinds of reactions. Some people will react very supportively, while some not that supportive. But here's the deal. No matter how they react, you or we get to own our identity. Now, it's not always easy, but you are not alone in this. And we're going to talk about how to navigate those responses with confidence. So let's get started. So why do people react so differently when we tell them we are autistic? That's a great question. A lot of it comes down to their own understanding or misunderstandings of autism. Now, some people, when we share with them that we're on the spectrum, that we're autistic, might be super supportive. Others might not know what to say. And some, well, they might dismiss it altogether. These can be very difficult experiences for us, especially since, many of us may be fawners, people pleasers, want to make people happy, want to fit in, feel part of a group or a community. So I'm going to share with you a few common reactions you might hear, and then we're going to talk about how we can respond to them. Because the best thing to do when we're going to tell someone, at least for me, and I think many of you out there will have the same experience, to be prepared. I mean, it was a big thing in Boy Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts for a little while. Then I was asked to leave, but we'll go into that story in another day. But here's the thing. Being prepared is beneficial. So let's start by preparing what people might say when we say, Bob's just our general character. It could be anybody. I just like using the name Bob because spell it backwards and forwards, it's still Bob. Say backwards and forward, it's still Bob. It's cool. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Here's what we need to know. These are some of the typical reactions, and they're not all of them because people can have others that I've not thought of. This is one of the problems I have with scripting. No matter what I plan for, I can spend hours planning a conversation, and then somebody will say something I did not plan for, and I'm like, oh, that's what I do. So let's talk about some of the common reactions we may experience when we share with somebody that we're in the spectrum. And the first reaction is that somebody says something to you in response to your sharing your identity or your diagnosis of autism might be, well, that makes so much sense. I support you. Now, this can be the best case scenario. And when this does occur, I'm sure you, like myself, love that kind of response. Okay? That is one of the best case scenarios. Now, another response you may get is, the person may say, but you don't look autistic. Now, this comes from their misunderstanding about what autism actually is. And it's kind of a lukewarm response. Now, some of you may say it's negative, that's fine. But on this chart, it's kind of lukewarm because the next response I'm going to share with you is one that I think we all dread hearing, okay? And let's get into it. So you share with a family member, a friend, somebody you know, a loved one, maybe somebody you want to be romantically involved with, your spouse, your partner, whatever. You share that you're autistic, and then they say this. You're just overthinking things. Now, that is a sign of a classic case of denial. They are denying what you told them because they don't want to accept it. They don't want to believe it. Maybe they had this horrible stereotype of worst case scenarios of what people on the spectrum are like, which are not true. We all know that. But there are misconceptions and stereotypes. I'll admit it. When I was young, in the 80s, I volunteered in an organization, a summer program for kids. And one of the kids that joined was autistic. And now remember, back in the 80s, we had a totally different definition and perception of what autism is. And this is before the movie Rain Man. Okay. So, and this person would probably be what we would call a level 2 or level 3 autistic today. Now, the beef I have is this: his mom also worked there. His mom got him into the program. I don't have beef with that. His mom, or no one, let me put it this way, because I don't know about higher up. I was not top of the food chain. I was a volunteer. No one told me this person was autistic, or my friend Ruben, who was working with me. And we were unaware of this, and we spent some time working with him because he was not doing things with the other kids. So we're trying to help him and all. And he got a little bit aggressive and almost broke Ruben's arm because we did not know. So this was my first real encounter with somebody on the spectrum, and that could have tainted my opinion of autism. And the reason I'm sharing this story is when you say to somebody, you're just overthinking things, which is a classic case of dismissal or denial that you're on the spectrum, might be because their perception, their image, their stereotype of what autism is not real. It's not what it actually is, because as we all know, autism is a very big spectrum now. And they just seeing it through their lens, which may or may not be an accurate one. Probably in this case, not an accurate one, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, when we receive a response, whether it be positive, neutral, or negative, the key thing that we must remember is that their reaction, the person that's reacting to our diagnosis or our self identity, is about them, not about us. Okay, even if it's positive, their reaction is telling us something about their character, and it's something we need to listen to. If it's a positive response, this is somebody you want to have as an ally. This is somebody who will be your ally. This is the good person. Neutral response, they could, as they, because they may be going through something we have to go through too. They may be processing what you told them, and they came a little bit surprised out of nowhere. They did not see it coming, so they may have some time, and they may move up to the positive response that we love. Okay, and if they have a negative reaction, like they're dismissing it, or disbelief of it, that's a sign. Maybe I'm not telling you to get rid of them. I don't know the people. I don't know the situation, but this may be a sign, a red flag. You may want to, at least I can say this honestly, you may want to reevaluate if that person really needs to be in your life, or how big of a part or what size of a role that person should have in your life. Maybe as a parent. Well, you could cut off all communication to them, but you may not want to do that. But you may want to distance yourself, and that's fine. Because remember, their response is not about you. No, no, no. It's about them. It tells us who they are, not who we are. Okay. So now let's talk about how to handle these different responses. Now, first, we're going to talk about handling positive and neutral responses. So let's celebrate those positive reactions when someone validates and accepts our autism identity or diagnosis. That's a big win. I want you to embrace those people and let them be a part of your support system. People are extremely positive or positive response. Like I said earlier, these are people we want on our team. For me, it'd be Team Chris. For you, it's Team whatever your name is. Okay, these are people you want in your corner. These are going to be people who are going to accept you, or more likely to accept you for who you are, and that you can start maybe unmasking around. I don't know the situation, but it's something you can think about. Okay. Now, for those who are neutral in the response, maybe they're confused but open to learning. This is a great opportunity to share your insights. You can say something like, I get that this is new to you. Okay. Because it was new to, for many of us, it was new to us when we first started suspecting we were autistic, or somebody said to you, maybe you ought to get screened for autism, or are you autistic? It was a shock to you. It's going to be a shock to them. So you can say to them, I get that this is new to you. Here's what autism means for me. And you can explain how autism challenges you or how it impacts your life, both in a negative way and in a positive way. Remember, autism can come with superpowers, and be proud of those, okay? When you are responding to somebody who is neutral, be sure to remind them that everyone who is on the spectrum experiences autism differently. Let me repeat that because it's very important for you to remember. If you've not heard me say this before and you keep watching my videos, you hear me say it again a lot of times because it's true and it's important to know. Everyone who is on the spectrum experiences autism differently, and you are not the typical autistic adult. Make sure they know that because we don't want them to look at you and say, okay, that's the standard for autism. Somebody else tells them they're autistic. They say, I don't believe that. Remind them that you are not the typical autistic adult because you're probably wondering, why aren't I? Great question. Because there is no typical autistic adult out there. Remember, we all experience autism differently. It affects each one of us uniquely. Some of us, for example, dread eye contact. I dread eye contact. Okay, it makes me very uncomfortable. Others embrace it. My great nephew, who's on the spectrum, when he talks to me, he insists on making eye contact, and you don't. He keeps repeating it until you look him in the eye. So he craves eye contact. But some people say stereotypically, autistic people don't like eye contact. That's not true. Okay. Now, providing another thing you can do when you're talking to people is provide resources like, I don't know, shameless plug here, this YouTube channel, okay? You can also share your own experiences or just having a casual conversation can help the person you're sharing with that you're autistic and bridge that gap between what they know or suspect to be autistic and what the reality is, at least in your life. One of the best experiences I had in sharing my autism happened when I was at LensCrafters, and I don't get paid for saying LensCrafters, so it's not an ad for them. Okay, and we were there. We were talking to one of the eye specialists, people that um, not you order the frames, get the frames and all. And she was talking to me, my wife, and she kept forcing eye contact on me, and I kept looking away, I kept playing with stuff and fiddling and playing with my ball and all. And my wife jumped in, and this is the only part I wish was different. I wish I said this myself. But my wife jumped in and she said, he doesn't like eye contact. He's autistic. And I wish I said that, but regardless, what her response was that I don't know what they call them. The people who do the frames, help you order the frames. Anyway, the frameologists, let's call them that, okay? New word, frameologist, it's pretty cool. Anyway, as you might tell, not only am I autistic, I have some ADHD and I have a lot of energy. So please bear with me. She started asking questions, intelligent questions, not to be insulting, to better understand autism, what it was. And that was a wonderful experience. I got the opportunity to share with somebody about autism who knew a little bit about it, but not a lot, and help dispel some of the stereotypes and myths and negative connotations that come with that word. It was amazing. Now, let's talk about a very difficult part, dealing with dismissive or negative reactions. Because let's be truthful, we're going to get those, okay? People, some people just don't get it. They don't want to believe it, etc. And some people are just jerks. And we're going to have to deal with it, okay? So this is the hardest part. When people dismiss or invalidate us because we are autistic, and whether that being autistic means we received a late diagnosis or we self-identify as autistic. When people dismiss or invalidate us because we're autistic, it's very hard. But here are some ways how we can handle it when it occurs. First, stay calm and confident. We don't have to prove anything to anyone. Our identity is valid, whether they accept it or not. Generally speaking, when you talk to somebody in the general public, a friend, family member, and all, they're not a doctor. They're not a specialist. They're not determining if you're going to get benefits or accommodations and all. They, you don't have to prove anything. It's them. Now, in some situations, like at work, and you are working at human resources for reasonable accommodations, you may have to prove it by some documentation. Okay, let's be real. But generally speaking, when you're just sharing it with a friend or a family member and all, not in a work environment, not in an educational facility where you're trying to get accommodations, um, to help you in your classwork and all, you don't have to prove this to anybody. Okay, it is your identity, and it is valid whether they accept it or not. Keep that in mind. The second thing you should do when you experience a negative or dismissive response when you share that you're autistic is to set boundaries. So someone constantly dismisses our autism, yours, mine, whoever, it's okay to limit those conversations with that person or even distance yourself or ourselves from that person when needed. This is very important. Okay, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later in the video, but I want to hit on it right now, real quickly. Your mental health should be number one for you. And if people make you feel bad about who you are, that's their way telling you, I'm not good enough to be a friend of yours. I'm not good enough to be in your inner circle, your closest friends. It's not about you. I know we think it's all about us. We think, they treat me bad because I deserve it. No, I'm a horrible person. That's bull. Okay. They're telling us about their character. Okay. So we want to make sure that we realize that it's not about us. And if people are doing these things and it's hurting us in any way, physical, mental, whatever, and if physical, please reach out and get help. Talk to somebody, a police officer, first responder, somebody in the health field, clergy, whatever, but somebody you could trust that can help you get out of the situation, because nobody should be physically hurt. But if you're being mentally hurt and your self-esteem and self-confidence being attacked because someone is dismissing your diagnosis, it's okay to set boundaries and it's okay to distance yourself. It's even okay to get them out of your life. Now, when I say remove them from your life, I do not mean illegally, okay? No crime committed. Just disconnect from them. Don't respond to them. They text you, ignore it, block their text, unfriend them on social media, whatever it takes, okay? And the third thing that I want you to know, if somebody dismisses you or gives you a negative reaction to your autism, is to know when to disengage. We talked about this a little bit a moment ago, but let's go a little bit deeper. There's some people who may never accept that we are autistic, and that's their issue, not ours. Remember that. If somebody does not accept that you're autistic, that's on them. That's not on you, okay? We often think it's on us. We do that because, we are autistics living in an holistic world. The world's not designed for us, okay? Some people say that. And we have to fight and scrap to get everything we want in our lives. We work a lot harder to achieve the success some of us do that our holistic peers can do with more ease. And that's fine. And when this happens, and when people are not accepting that we're autistic, that's another rejection. And we want to try to fix that because we think the problem's us. It's not us. It's their issue, not ours. That's important for you to remember. If you only remember one thing from this video, and I hope you remember more than one thing, but this is one of the most important things for you to remember from this video. So if someone is pushing back, saying they don't believe you are, they're dismissing it, here's some things you can say. Because this is like scripting, okay? Which many of us on the spectrum do. I do it myself. So you're prepared. Be prepared, okay? So if somebody is pushing back when you tell them that you're autistic, you can say to them, and this is a truthful statement, I'm not asking for your permission to be autistic. You don't need anyone's permission to be autistic. Okay? You don't need to fill out some paperwork and apply like you're applying for a job to be autistic. No, it's part of who you are. You were born this way, okay? So you can say to them, I'm not asking your permission to be autistic. I'm sharing this information with you that I self identify as autistic or that I received a late diagnosis of autism because it's important to me. Now, you may want to add on to, and you want to do it for the right reasons. You want to do it because you want to show to them how much their friendship or relationship means to you and not as a guilt trip. But you may want to say, and I'm sharing this with you because I value our friendship and I value being transparent and honest in our relationship. Now obviously say it when you mean it, but that it can also be a little guilt trip for them, but don't use it as a guilt trip. But that is another thing you can say and add on to, I'm not asking your permission to be autistic. I'm sharing this because it's important to me and our relationship is important to me. And I want to be transparent and honest with you so we can build a stronger relationship. And that kind of response is simple, it's direct, and it puts the focus back on you rather than trying to convince them that you're autistic. Now, here are some confidence strategies for staying true to yourself during the time that you're starting to open up and reveal to people that you are on the spectrum. And these strategies will help you keep your confidence strong throughout all of this. And the first strategy is to affirm your identity. You know yourself best. No one else gets to define you. And that's what define yourself is all about. That's why I named my business Define Yourself. Because we have so many people in the disabled community. I'm multiple disabled. I am physically disabled. I have an incomplete spinal cord injury. I am visually disabled. I was born with cataracts, had them removed, but my vision is 2200 in my left, 2300 in my right eye, and I don't have depth perception, which is really fun when you use a rollator to get around and thinking, if this a curb cut or this a curb that I'm going to face plant myself in the parking lot. I have ADHD, I have a heart condition, and I have autism. So I have multiple disabilities, okay? And a lot of people in the disabled community as a whole, in the autism community, which is part of the disabled community, people would like to define us and tell us what we can and cannot do in our lives, who we are, what our worth is. That's bull. The only person that can define who you are and what you can do is Y-O-U. I spelled it out for you, is you. That's the only one. Don't ever let someone define you. Don't give away that power. That's your own power. Never give that away to somebody else because that person's not interested in making you stronger. That person is interested more in themselves and maybe using you as a stepping stone or put you down so they can feel better about themselves. Don't let anyone define you. That's why I call it hashtag define yourself. That's why I call you guys define yourselfers, because you all, I believe you're watching the channel. You want to understand autism and you don't want it to define you. I mean, it's a part of you. I get that. But you do not want it to define you and limit you. We want to define ourselves and say, yeah, I'm autistic, but here's what I can do. Yeah, it challenges me, but I don't let the challenges stop me. So affirm your identity. You know yourself best. No one else gets to define you. Never forget that. That's another thing. If there's only one thing you take from this video, I know I said this earlier, so maybe it's two things. This is really important. Don't let anyone else define who you are. Second thing you can do to help you keep your confidence through this time of revealing your identity to others is to find your community. Now, if family and friends struggle to understand that you're autistic, what it means, how it challenges you, etc., then you should seek out autistic spaces where you will feel validated. And these places could be online groups, meetups, And communities like this one right here in this YouTube channel are great for that. Because when you're going through this time of using a term that's popular in the LGBTQIA plus community, coming out, because you're coming out and telling people that you're autistic, it's going to be it could be a very scary and difficult time, a challenging time for you. You need to have support. You need to have people who get you and understand you. So when you experience a neutral or especially a negative response, you have people who will be there say, it's okay. It's not about you. It's about them, like me. Okay. Another thing we can do for when we share our autism with a family member or friend is to have prepared responses. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the video, and this is like scripting, okay? And which many of us do. I'm not calling anyone out because, hey, I'll be honest, I do scripting, okay? I've cut down a little bit as I gotten older, but as younger, I did a lot of scripting. I scripted out conversations with every what I thought was possible scenario, especially for phone calls. Then somebody would say something that I did not prepare for, and I felt anxiety. I felt anxious. Well, anxiety and anxious is about the same, but I didn't know how to react. So to prevent feeling anxious and standing there and thinking, what do I say? Prepare some responses. So when someone questions your diagnosis, a simple response can shut down the doubt. So you could try a response like this. Autism presents differently in adults than it does in children. Because some people think of autism, that's a childhood condition. No, it's not. It's a lifelong condition. You know that. I do not have to tell you that. But just in case somebody watching this video did not know that, it's out there, okay? Autism does present differently in adults than it does in children. And you can also say to them, I've done my research, which most people that I met that are late diagnosed autistics or self-identify as autistic have done a lot of research. They went online and say, do autistic people talk to themselves? Do autistic people avoid eye contact? And because these are traits that they're doing. So they've done the research. And go ahead, stand firm on it. Don't let someone talk you out of your identity or your diagnosis. They're not doctors. Well, most of them are not. They're not specialists. Most of them are not. You know yourself better than anyone else. And of course, the most important thing, I know I said that a lot in this video, but it's true. This one's really important. Prioritize self-care. Processing reactions from others when you tell them you're autistic can be emotionally draining. Like I mentioned, we got to go through processing. And when we tell people we're autistic and we get a lukewarm response, that person may have to process what you told them. Okay. And I know it's like being pins and needles until the next time you see them, hoping that you did not damage or destroy a relationship. I know, been there. Okay. It's very anxious time. I lost sleep over that. It's so distracting. I couldn't get anything done until I saw the person at, later on, a week later, a whole week didn't get anything done. It was horrible. But you want to prioritize your self care because processing reactions can be emotionally draining. And like I said, not only do we have to process, but the person we told may need to process. And that's okay. So take time to recharge when you're going through this processing and when you feel emotionally drained. Or whenever you feel emotionally drained, this is good advice. Take time to recharge in a way that works best for you. What works best for me may not work best for you. What works best for you may not work best for me. And that's okay. We're all different people. So some of the ways you may find beneficial that can help you recharge when you're feeling drained is spending some quiet time. I kind of recharge by listening to relaxation music or listening to 80s music. I'm a big 80s music guy, okay? Uh, engaging or diving into your special interests may help you recharge. Or connecting with supportive people, your allies. I mean, people that you know from online communities, meetups, support groups, wherever. This can help you recharge with and when you are feeling drained. Those are just some ways. If you have a way that I've not mentioned that works for you, share it in the comments. Who knows? It could be an inspiration to somebody who's trying to find their own unique way of recharging when they feel drained. And that's what it's all about. We want to help one another, okay? That's what the channel is about. That's why I believe we're put on this planet, to help each other. Because I said this in other videos, you probably heard it before. If we were meant to do life on our own without anyone else, why are there 8 billion people on this planet? So here's the bottom line. Your identity as an autistic adult or an adult with autism is valid. Don't let anyone tell you it isn't. It is valid. Whether others understand it or not, your identity as an autistic adult is valid. And it's okay to take your time processing the reactions you get when you share your autism with others. And it's also okay to walk away from conversations that don't serve you. And not just when you're sharing that you're autistic with somebody, but any conversation that does not serve you, you have permission to walk away from. And I'm talking about conversations that do not serve you. And when I say that, I mean that make you feel less about yourself, that damages your self-confidence, that makes you feel inferior. Those are not serving you. They're not lifting you up. They're tearing you down. Now, because I'm a person that takes things literally, and I'm kind of into details at times, this is going to sound like I'm a lawyer, and I keep telling my wife that I would have made a great lawyer. If you're in a conversation at work and you're getting evaluated, and it's honest, constructive criticism. Honest, constructive criticism can serve you. But if it makes you feel bad, you cannot just get up and walk away from that conversation, because you may be walking away from employment. So use common sense in this area. But if you're in a conversation that does not serve you, does not make you feel good about yourself, that could be a red flag. The most important thing that you need to know, that you are not alone. There's a whole community right here on this YouTube channel that gets it and gets you, that supports you, and that will always have your back. Now it's your turn. Have you shared your autism with loved ones? And loved ones can be family, friends, whatever. How did it go? Did it go well? Let's support each other in the comments. So if you're comfortable sharing your experience, put it in the comments. And if somebody has shared their experience in the comments, give them a thumbs up. Let them know you're there for them, okay? Comment or just give them a simple thumbs up. Remember, we're all here to help one another. If this video resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more confidence building content for autistic adults. And be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new videos and when I go live. Until next time, I'm Chris Mitchell, the Confident Autistic, and I am all about helping you live confidently autistic.